At what point, at what point did your being gay become, like, I mean, were you aware of being gay? And then also, to what degree do you feel like that is, part of your
Yeah.
artistry?
Well, I tend to take an unusual approach in that spectrum or in that sphere because a lot of people say, oh, being gay that doesn't mean that you're a gay songwriter or but that has nothing to do with your music. It's totally separate. I think it has a lot to do with my music, only in terms of the fact that, for when I first, became aware of my sexuality, I was very young. I was 13, and it was at a horrifying time. It was, 1987, 1986. So AIDS was just everywhere, and to be gay was to die, basically. And so I was sort of struck with that, and I had to, at that moment, harken back to other gay artists from the past, whether it was Cole Porter or Oscar Wilde or Tennessee Williams or Tchaikovsky. All of these people, I really was distinctly aware of that history, and that was kind of my strategy. I was like, I'm going to take the high road on this one, and because there was no art, and culture became the only real answer to a lot of what was happening, and with opera especially being the focus of that. I mean, it was the only place that I could receive any kind of understanding or encapsulation of just the horror that was occurring around me at puberty, so I don't know. I just kind of dove really headlong into that, and part of that was a distinct awareness of those who'd come before in the gay world, and what they had had to put up with. So I'm very indebted to that tradition and feel very much a part of it, and that it is separate, and that it is a privilege, and that it has to be protected, and so forth.
What about as a lyricist? How is that? Do you feel like it shaped some specific aspect of you? I mean, as a writer
Right.
of words.
As a lyricist, well, lyrics are the hardest thing in music because they're not music. But yeah, I basically, melody will come periodically, whether you like it or not, and and lyrics will maybe drop in every once in a while, but to finish a song you have to go out there and really hunt for the words, and so sometimes I think I'm successful in that hunt, and I come back with a couple of edible chunks, but a lot of the time I still feel like a novice, and I still feel like I'm searching constantly for what works, and so yeah, I think that lyrics are the really the bones of the song, and and the time that and that American period, and of the Great American Songbook, where you had lyricists actually writing lyrics and not music, was kind of the best thing for songs. And I know this is singer-songwriters, and I am a singer-songwriter, and I don't do that, but you still have to look at that template and just accept that it was kind of better. I think.
I mean, one of the things
Unless you're a Cole Porter.
About your singing, I think is that you really, I mean, the words are made to kind of conform to your melodies. I mean, I mean, obviously there are certain singer-songwriters where, the instrumentation, the melody, and the music in general is just a kind of backdrop to the words, whereas your words are really part of the music, or are made to be part of the music. And often I'm really struck when I look at like a lyric sheet and realize, like, how you're transforming the language into music. It's a striking thing, and I just wanted to see how, if that was a conscious strategy or just what you like to do.
I mean, it's funny. There's going to be. I guess I can announce it now, sort of. I don't think a lot of this is going out to the press, but there is going to be a box set coming out soon,
Great.
and I am going through a lot of the old material, and I am struck a lot by this sort of strange kind of creature that I created early on with these odd melodies and these odd words and these odd pictures, which do kind of stand up in an interesting way. But it is very tied to the music. I mean, it's very. I don't know. I don't know if I've gotten better or worse or whatever, but it is. Yeah, I don't know what I've done. I'm sorry. I don't know what I've done. I mean, I can't. No one's ever been
What
to
did you do?
figure
Yeah,
out.
exactly.
I mean, it's funny because I've had a lot of dealings, shall I say, with Mr. Leonard Cohen,
Yes.
and I've spent a lot of time with him recently, and we don't talk about music that much or anything. But I do. But nonetheless, you when you're in his presence, you kind of inhabit that world, and you do kind of ponder those issues, and I listen to his songs, and I've sung a lot of his songs in the past, and there is a kind of distinct formula in terms of these. The melodies very much serve the words,
Yes.
In this incredible way, but the words are paramount, and the melodies are this simple kind of accompaniment which work brilliantly well, and they're not that simple is probably not the right word. It's more subtle, and so there's this kind of sleek design, and mine are kind of the opposite of that. I mean, I'm just trying on all forces with the words and trying on all forces with the music, and maybe something will work.
Yeah.
And there's something to that too. I mean, there's something to that as well.
Well, it seems to me like there's a more overt kind of appeal. I think both of those almost serve as a kind of direct appeal to the emotions.
Yeah, yeah.
Like so that you're not sitting there parsing the lyrics. You're having
Yeah.
an emotional impact.
Well, I have had experiences in the past, and I actually still I have to say where I'll write songs and I'll get to a point I'll be like, okay, we're done with that. That's it. It's done, and then I'll go back, the next day and look and be like, God, it's fucking terrible. What am I thinking? And then maybe try it again, and then at a certain point, I'll start weeping over something, and it's really only sad songs and songs that have to do with some issue. Like I just wrote one about my mother that once you really hit it, it does. You are striking this emotional chord in yourself that it does require tears to express. It can't be anything like. There can't be anything human or not human, but anything logical about, the song is finished now.
Yes.
It needs this kind of emotional seal. So I do get that sometimes, and I know at that moment, okay, now it's done. But it doesn't happen all the time. But when that happens, it's great.